We call it people technology.
Well, that is a total hammering from the Kolkata Knight Riders, a team that they just don't beat in the IPL, a team that they couldn't beat from a winning position in the first leg of this year's tournament. They have followed up that win against RCB with some serious flexing of the muscle against the Mumbai Indians, and that puts the defending champions under a little bit of pressure. On Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Begin for T20 timeout. Kolkata Knight Riders have done it easy. Who thought they could? Ian Bishop and Deep Dasgupta. Who thought they could?
Right. Listen, I
You
think
did.
I had an exit clause when I said that early wickets were going to be important. They didn't get early wickets, so there you go.
The thing is, those sorts of predictions are the kind that you look good no matter what the result is, right, Deep? So
Do we
you know the
do
side.
we
You've
allow
been doing this long enough.
do
Yes,
we
Bish.
allow exit clauses on this show?
Nah, we don't.
Is
Nah, nah,
okay. I
nah.
didn't think that was legitimate currency on this show.
But let me put it this way: I could sit here and brag and say, "Oh, these two didn't," and I said Kolkata would do it easy, but I had no idea what I was saying. So even I am surprised that that is the sort of performance that KKR have put in. Ian Bishop, they have effectively just stunned the Mumbai Indians and perhaps even sent down a serious message to the rest of the league. What a performance that was! Yes, Bish, all yours. First
Oh,
words.
sorry, you broke up there. I didn't hear who the question was
That's all
posed
right.
to,
That's
but
all right. Yeah, but please.
look, that is seriously impressive. I was joking during the break, tweeting that during the interval after the first phase, there seems to be a religious experience that has taken place where the spirit of McCullum has been imbibed by the rest of the team. But that is exactly how Morgan and McCullum would have wanted the team to play. It's exactly how those guys played the game. And if they continue doing this for the rest of the games and qualify and do well in this IPL, I think a lot of philosophies, including part of my philosophy on how the game is played, will have to be adjusted.
Yeah, for a team that was just frustrating in IPL 2020, Deep, doing strange things that cost them points when they were looking good to get them. This break seems to have done them wonders. This looks like a completely different team.
Yeah, because I think there was obviously a shift in the whole mindset. I mean, moving from the other captains to the Morgan and Brendan McCullum style of T20 cricket. I think it would obviously take some time. You can't expect results, but again, I mean, you've got to give credit to someone like a Venkatesh Iyer and a Rahul Tripathi, especially Venkatesh Iyer, because I thought today was a huge game for someone like him, playing three world class bowlers, and he looked extremely comfortable. So he played his part beautifully. Obviously, Rahul Tripathi as well. So I think obviously you need some time to get into shift your mindset, try and play in a different way. The philosophy that both Brenton and Morgan have, and this is really good, and this is more than a win. I know Bish doesn't like the word making statements, but I think this could be very close to making a statement for the rest of the sides out there.
I mean, you can't help but think the way you've beaten the defending champions would make a statement. And Venkatesh Iyer, Bish, none of us knew he was part of the squad before the second leg. He comes in, opens the batting, a chase of 94. You think, all right, that's not a real test. But against Bolt, Milne, and Bumrah, with their tails up, looked comfortable, like Deep said.
Yeah, and just to build on what Deep is saying, that the intent is one thing, right? And you've got to give the management staff great credit for giving a guy confidence to go and play that way, Raul Tripathi as well. But there's also the skill, RK, as you pointed out, the skill to do it. The intent is one thing, but having the ability to carry it out is another aspect of it that is sometimes overlooked. So, look, 26 or 27 years of age, he's a bright kid from the interview that he gave the other day about his exam and so forth. But it's amazing that he's been sort of hidden away in domestic cricket up until now.
I mean, Venkatesh Iyer won, but even Shubman Gill, it might just be a 9 ball 13 Deep, but this is a
Yeah.
completely different approach, a different mood that seems to be swerving around the KKR camp.
True, and especially after these two wins. I mean, listen, I still think the strongest suit is the bowling, and both these games so far, the bowlers have done their bit. But even the whole approach, I mean, you can see the body language, especially the batting, the way the batters are approaching. You mentioned about Shubman Gill. Yeah, I mean, just the whole idea of getting everyone involved and everyone buy into the philosophy, it takes some time. Obviously, the first half didn't go their way. I'm sure this break has helped in everyone buying into the whole philosophy, playing the way they are right now. And this is really really good, and I'm glad for someone like Venkatesh Iyer, because I've seen him. The last time I saw him was a couple of years ago in Syed Mushtaq Ali. He's got 190 as well, I think, in Vijay Hazare. But this was a couple of years ago. He looked really good. But I was waiting for this game to see how he handles
Yeah.
quick bowling, because I have no problems or no questions in terms of how he would play spin, but genuine world class fast bowling. And today was I'm so glad to see him bat the way he did.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of poor balls in the first six or seven, which from Mumbai Indians, not what you expect from Bumrah first up, from Milne and Bolt. Was that just poor on Mumbai, or was it themselves being a bit shocked or shell shocked with the sort of approach and what they were receiving from batters they wouldn't have bowled as much to in someone like Venkatesh Iyer?
I think you have to give credit to the batters for putting
Hmm.
pressure, the aggressive intent. And as a bowler myself, I know that when someone, if it's a Sachin Tendulkar or Sanaja Surya, is coming hard at you, that if unless you're in the top mental state, you can get rattled and lose your length, lose your line. So a lot of credit has to go to the KKR opening pair and their number three.
Uh,
What does this
Bish, can
result?
I,
Yes.
sorry, Ronak, can
Please.
I ask Bish a question? Bish, do you
Please.
reckon that even the MI bowlers realized that there were 20 shots, so they wanted to be a little more aggressive up front, trying to pick wickets and maybe bowling those attacking lengths, so to say? Do you think that could have been a reason?
It might have snuck in there deep, but I think when you start, when you've got up 155, it's kind of a middling score. It's not a small score, but neither is it what should have been scored. But when you start the first 2 or 3 overs, I don't know that you're thinking that way. You're still trying to operate along what you would normally do, your stock ball, and trying to prize out wickets. But then the pressure that was applied to them, I'm sure it rattled them just a touch.
I'd also like to look at that scorecard from both innings now and put something to the two of you, which KKR spinners seem to be the big threat today. Even Prasidh Krishna and Andre Russell went at 10s and 12s and over. Mumbai spinners don't seem to have that sort of threat deep. So, some ways they're also catching up with them, that their pacers, as well reputed as they are, on days where it's not going for the pacers, they don't quite have the quality to back it up or to change the game.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned this start of the
Hmm.
season, even start of the first leg as well, that if there is any kind of a shortcoming as far as the squad is concerned, is their spin department, and they depend a lot on Rahul Chahar. Unfortunately, not that he hasn't done well. Even the batters haven't given enough score for a spinner to come in and do their bit. But yeah, I mean, that's one area that they really need to look into. They have someone like a Piyush Chawla there as well, but I mean, these surfaces, you still have to back your faster bowlers to pick up more of your wickets.
I mean, it looks like the Mumbai Indians boys, after they've been inducted into that World Cup squad, seems to have put their feet up and saved their best for the World Cup. Everyone else seems to be putting the performances in, but it's something to try and make sense of. Bish, Surya Kumar Yadav struggling, Ishan Kishan is struggling, Rahul Chahar is struggling. So many Mumbai Indians players that you thought were solid, reliable in the IPL are not performing together, and Mumbai now are under pressure, aren't they?
Yeah, but we take that back to the first phase. Those guys were struggling a little bit in the first phase as well,
Yeah.
just before the break. Um, so it's a tough time. I still wonder if I don't know how you fit it in, but on these pitches, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Mumbai Indians still seem one seam bowling option short. And I'm not talking about the Pollard cutters. I'm talking about genuine seam. That's by the way. But Surya Kumar have to get their act together. This team can't. You can't have Quinton and Rohit at that end, Pollard at this end, and basically nothing through the middle. You're going to struggle against the better teams in the tournament with that.
Does the approach from the first half now look like a mistake at the end of the game, Deep? You could see Mumbai Indians consciously want to bat differently. And it looks like even after they've done that, they've not quite achieved the result that they would have liked, and they've lost comfortably.
True, but I think, I mean, we did mention about them being 20 odd runs short. Maybe even 20 would have made too much of a difference. But having said that, again, it boils down to Surya Kumar and Ishan. If you just go back to last season here in UAE, both of these guys scored around 500 that season, both of them. So you're missing these two major players from last season in terms of scoring runs. So that is a huge thing, because now they have to kind of, you can't be, as Bish mentioned, the openers can't go on bat like this thinking about, the middle order isn't firing. They have to be a little more, they got to have a little more freedom in how they bat. So uh, bottom line, if MI has to go on and qualify and go on and win games from here on, they need that middle order to fire. I mean, it can't be just three of them scoring runs for them.
Yeah, I mean, say similar question to you, Bish. They're an opening partnership of 78 today. You think that solves a lot of your problems, and you thought Pollard was also getting going towards the end. But they invest their faith in the power game. That's what Mumbai Indians have stood out for. And today they resorted back to the old school way. Okay, let's not lose too many. Let's try and get to a 150, 160, and they've yet fallen short. How does this make their approach look in the first half now?
All right, I'll take your word for it. That was deliberate through the middle. I think there's a lack of security that I would
Yes.
aspire to it. So again, I thought the power play ended up being reasonable, 56.
Hmm.
KKR made it look small.
Mm.
And then at the back end, Pollard was going reasonably well, but you can't score at less than 6 runs and over from over 7 to 15. I mean, I don't care
Yeah.
how well Narayan and Chakravarti and Praseed Krishna and those guys bowl. You can't do that. That's playing Russian roulette in case the back end doesn't come off. So let's not forget Hardik Pandya is not there as well. Just a reminder that is also a big
Yes.
miss.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So what happens to the Mumbai Indians now? Are they a team under pressure? Are they in the dogfight deep? And are you can you say with confidence now that yes, this team that is so formidable and knows how to win under pressure and all would make the playoff spot? Because we're evidences to the contrary at the moment.
True, and I look at that body language suddenly. I mean, that invincibility, so to say. It's just there are little these cracks now occurring,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's important. I'm still saying that they're a very good side. These surfaces, these venues, they actually kind of help them, the kind of squad they have. But again, I mean, as Bish mentioned, I mean, you can't. I mean, if they have a certain kind of a template and that has been so successful, because these players have followed that template for last so many years because they've been part of this setup. Suddenly, overnight, just because a few of them are not in form or one of them is not available, you can't change that template. It doesn't, I don't think it comes that easy because you're so used to playing in a certain way. So I think they should just go back to playing the way they do,
Yeah.
but they have that experience to be a little more careful in how they go about things. Because as Bish mentioned, I mean, they scored 45 in those middle overs from 7 to 14. That's not Mumbai Indians. That's not how they
Hmm.
play. That's not how they approach their T20 cricket. So they still need to go back to how they play, but they still need to be a little more careful.
Yeah, the rest of the league is noticing this as well. Vish, has the invincibility of the Mumbai Indians, the mighty Mumbai Indians, started cracking now?
I mean, obviously, when you're not
Hmm.
playing well, you didn't start the tournament well. You had a break. You came back. Surprisingly to me, with so many guys playing international, domestic cricket, still didn't start well. I'm sure Mahela Jayawardene is sitting there thinking, "Yes, we've got great pedigree." Rohit Sharma's thinking the same thing. We're not going to lose our confidence in ourselves, but we're a little concerned, particularly. Where have they now gone down to six? Who's below them? Punjab Kings and
Yeah, let's
Sunrisers
pull
Hyderabad.
let's pull the points table up. Yeah, we'll pull the points table up for you. Yep, carry on.
Yeah, yeah, I think the net run rate took a hit there tonight as well, losing so badly. So, and the way that KKR are playing is the other thing. The freedom that they're playing with, RCB is another team that could look to be challenged here.
And what this does for the Knight Riders, these two emphatic results back to back, is puts them into a playoff spot. That net run rate has taken a serious boost as well. They're in the positives, and they've displaced the Mumbai Indians in the top four. Deep, this is the perfect time, I guess, to start building a string of results together. Are the Knight Riders suddenly looking like the team to beat?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go to that extent as in calling them
Mhm.
the team to beat, but obviously the kind of start they've had, 2 out of 2 and 2 convincing wins. Obviously, I mean, momentum for a short. I mean, I'm going to call this a tournament in itself, even though it's only 7 matches. So I'm just going to call it as a small tournament. For a
Yeah,
smallish tournament like this, 7 games. I mean, momentum is can be overrated at times, but I think momentum is going to be important. Again, I don't think a word that Bish agrees to or likes, but I think it's important because it just helps grow in confidence. While we're talking about KKR growing in confidence and belief in going and winning from situations, I think MI would be a little down on that part in terms of losing 2 games rather convincingly again. There would be a few doubts in people's mind and questions in people's minds in that. But as far as KKR is concerned, 2 out of 2 and near perfect games, both of them. You know, and
yeah.
and from players, especially this game, they've got performances from players they weren't. I don't think they were expecting so much from someone like a Venkatesh Iyer or Rahul Tripathi that
Sure.
they were going to go and perform that way. So I think these things would add up in terms of confidence going forward.
I mean, if you look at the points table, they're both level, right? They both Mumbai Indians and Knight Riders have played 9, they've won 4, and they've lost 5. But you read it very differently, don't you, Bish? What do you foresee now as a result of these two comprehensive wins against two teams that were in the top 4 going into the second leg of the IPL? What does this do for the Knight Riders now? Do you fancy them to make a playoff spot with this sort of start?
Well, yeah, I mean, it gives you so much confidence, is the word that I use more than anything else. Self belief, and it's the way they've been playing. The question that is going to continually go through my mind is the same thing when I see England play their current brand of white ball cricket. Is this the way that T20 cricket and white ball cricket should be played? I know it depends on resources, but there's a freedom of spirit that seems to almost be creating its own luck as well. The ball goes up in the air, it drops short, it goes over the head of someone. It's like you're only creating your own spiritual power. So I want to see how this plays out. It'll be a fascinating study for me, but you've got to be really confident. Deep made a good point too. The bowling is something that should not be undervalued the way KKR are also performing with the ball.
Oh yeah, I mean you could see this. This is a different team now, and yeah, Bish makes the reference to the England team. All they need is for the England captain to get a few runs. Otherwise, all the other pieces of the puzzle seem to be coming together. On that note, thank you very much, Ian Bishop and Deep Dasgupta. This was fun. This was fun because it was unexpected. We did not expect that from the Kolkata Knight Riders. If you are a KKR fan, this is the time to start believing. And if you're a Mumbai Indians fan, you'd be a little worried by how the defending champions have started this second leg of the IPL. Join us tomorrow for what promises to be a big game again. Bangalore against Chennai. Bangalore could suddenly find themselves caught in the dogfight too if they lose 2-2. So we'll be with you on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 time out for that. Good night.
We call it people technology.